Good afternoon, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am doing a kind of a late in the day Dow of the day. Um, I want some consistency, so I'm just going ahead and doing this whenever I get the opportunity. Monday through Friday, I'm going to be doing that just as the year kind of launches. I'm interested in just presenting the Tao. So, what is Tao of the Day for those who haven't joined me on this program before? It is a program where you can come up and pick a number between 1 and 81. It's kind of like drawing a tarot card, and I present the Tao Te Ching. The Tao is an ancient text written about 600 BCE, and I wrote a rendition, and I've utilized different translations of the Tao, but the Tao is an ancient text full of sort of enigmatic wisdom and insight, and it's got 81 short verses, which is why you would pick a number between 1 and 81, which provide this sort of guidance on how to live a harmonious life in balance with Tao. And Tao is kind of the underlying natural order of the universe. It uses some poetic language and offers advice on how to cultivate inner peace and a positive outlook. And it's really, uh, you know, with everything that's being written in the like self-help world, um, it's really good to get back to the original core of why, right? What self-help is really just trying to help us trust ourselves and love ourselves. And the Tao Te Ching is one of the original texts to help us sort of navigate that. um, I look at the world in this and the evolution of consciousness from this vantage point of we had started out trying to survive, and then we needed relationship, and then we needed logic, and now we need to open up and have a deeper sense of our connectivity, a deeper sense, and that spirit. However we want to look at that, I don't want to call it spirit, because when I say spirit or soul or any other, even Tao, utilizing those terms brings about a lot of preconceived ideas. And I want to stay away from any preconceived ideas that we might have. And we want to look at this from a new vantage point. We don't want to look at this from the past. We want to look at it from now, looking forward. We want to see this ancient text as something that can provide us guidance moving forward, rather than just like looking at it from this vantage point of being something that was written a long time ago. So if anybody wants to step up and pick a number between 1 and 81, I would love to have you up. Once again, any number that you pick will help you personally. So like I said, it is sort of like picking a tarot card. So it's like pulling a card and getting a little bit of information about something that you might be struggling with. And the reason that we can, that is true, is because when you are energetically connected to Tao, because Tao has been around for so long, if you believe in past lives, if you believe in connectivity, if you believe in the soul and all of those sorts of things, then all of these things are connected. I'm going to pick number 27, and I'm just going to go ahead and go through 27 unless someone wants to come up and pick a number. 27 is entitled The Mystery of the Process. Although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, creations are arrived at through intuition. Although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time, every time. By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. It is the great secret. So as we've wrapped this up, one of the things I like to do is take the beginning and take the end and connect them to make sure that we're keeping a through line in the whole of the verse. So the beginning of this starts with the good traveler, the good artist, and the good scientist. Right? The good traveler may have plans, but they're not rigid. nor is the outcome. The good artist creates, but those creations are arrived at through intuition. Although the good scientist observes, it's done for the first time every time. It's not like I'm observing and then taking note so that I can observe the next thing. And that's what many of us do, right? We observe something and then we recognize that thing that we observed once in the world around us and repeat and expect that those outcomes will be the same. Now let's look at the end. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. It is the great secret. Okay, so we have to accept that the good is a vision for the bad, and the bad is a lesson for the good. Now, if you are a traveler in the world, in your life, and you have plans and they are rigid, and you find that those plans have not gone the way you think they should have, well, then maybe that is a bad traveler, right? Someone who has rigid plans. And when those rigid plans don't go according to plan, and you recognize that, and you say, oh, I had rigid plans. Now, what is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Then you start moving towards the good, right? Being a good traveler. And this isn't like good and bad in the sense of like judgment, but it's like there is a traveler that can have plans that are not rigid, and the outcome is not rigid. Now, when you start traveling, when you start creating from a place of convoluted from a convoluted nature rather than an intuitive nature, when you start observing and saying that those observations are fact. I mean, a friend of mine is like this all the time. I am, we are, people are, and there are all of these huge assumptions. And she even calls herself a scientist all the time. Every time she gets the opportunity, she says, "I'm a scientist, and this is what I know. I've observed this." This is not a good scientist, right? Although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time every time. What this person does is observe and then blanket statements everything from because of what she has observed. And so, is that a lesson for her? Yes, eventually it will be. Eventually it will be. Right now, it's not important to her. Right now, she is just traveling down the path of being a bad scientist or a not good scientist. And as she does, she is going to find in her life the the she's going to find that she's bumping up against resistance. And when that resistance gets good enough, she's going to look at it. When it gets strong enough, she's going to look at it, and that's going to be she's going to recognize, oh, this is the not good. This is the bad scientist. So I need to take a lesson from that and then recognize that I need to observe for the first time every time. Now, if we don't accept that completely, if we don't accept that, like, this is this moment, every bit of stress, every bit of frustration, every trigger that I have is a lesson, right? And every time, you know, the good, when we see something outside of us that we're like, oh, we want to achieve that. Well, then let's look inside and find the places that are not aligned with that, right? What is the good if not a vision for the bad? We want to be good. We want to be a good traveler without fixed plans. We want to be a good artist that isn't convoluted and can do and create from an intuitive space. We want to be a good scientist so that we can observe without having all of these preconceived ideas about what it is we're about to see. So, what is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. It is the great secret. And that's the thing. Like, we can't go out there in the world and play the victim. We can't go out there in the world and say, that happened to me. I was talking to someone today about the idea that this is your experience. Are you going to own your experience, or are you going to suffer from your experience? Are you going to suffer and be the victim of the experience that you got to have? So once again, we start this with these three goods, right? The good traveler, the good artist, the good scientist. Now, this is going to come up in your life everywhere. You're going to be a good traveler when you're going to work. You're going to be a good traveler when you're going through the grocery store. You're going to be a good artist every time you create something in your relationships, every time you make dinner. You know, a good artist creates, but creations are arrived at through intuition. Can you cook through an intuitive process, or do you just pick up a Hello Fresh? Now, I'm not saying anything's wrong with HelloFresh, but that is not trusting yourself, right? Like, that's not trusting the Tao within you, and that's not cultivating the Tao within you and cultivating your relationship with the Tao within you. And a good artist, a good scientist observes. It's done for the first time, every time. You know, it's like, can you get to a place where you observe what's going on around you without making an assumption as to what's happening, what has happened, or how this came about? Can you just observe it? You know, so many people are like, I'm crying and I'm sad because. Well, if you're saying because, you're not observing. At least you're not observing for the first time. Maybe you're observing and saying, "Oh, this is why, and I know why, and I'm and I'm creating the reason, and I'm boxing in the reason as to why." Rather than you just observing your sadness. Just observe, no big deal. Just watch it. It's cool. Like, okay, you're sad. Be sad. You're tired. Be tired. You're angry. Be angry. None of that is wrong. The idea that you have an idea around whether it's right or wrong to be happy or sad, whether it's good or bad or whatever, all of those things, like that's you not observing. That's you presuming to know. By embodying these strategies of being a good scientist, like the strategy of of observing for the first time every time, the strategy of creating through intuition, the strategy from having plans that are not rigid. By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. When you step up to a situation and you need to utilize your intuition, when you step up to a situation and you need to break from the plans that you thought you were going to stick by, when you step up to a situation, you need to observe it for the first time. You can make use of that situation. You do not have to hold fast to the old ideas. And you can make use of this situation, whatever this situation has to offer. Nothing is wasted and every moment is imbued with light. Every moment. Doesn't matter whether you expected it or want it or it cost more or anything. This moment is imbued with light and you get the opportunity to embrace it. You get the opportunity to be in this moment right now. So can you be a good traveler and not be stuck on your plans, even if you have them? You know, a lot of people say, I don't make plans. I don't make plans. Da, 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 da. And those people are sometimes miserable on trips because they do have plans and they just haven't recognized them. Although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. What is a good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. And that's just about learning. Learn from this moment, learn from this situation, learn and grow. Whatever this situation, and it's not like learn so you can bring it with you. Learn what this situation is. Sadness that you have, feel it. Don't predict it. Don't try and name it. Don't try and limit it to being something that you can understand. Maybe it's deeper than that. Maybe it has something to do with the planets. Maybe it has something to do with somebody that you've never met that is connected to you just energetically, is hurting. Maybe it's not about you at all. And that's okay. And if you could just observe it, maybe you can give it enough space so it can work itself out. And you don't have to hold on to things that you've observed before, the thing that you want to create and the plans that you made. Maybe you can actually just be here and present with what is without having to hold on to old ideas, without having to predict what's going to happen and who you are and who you're going to be. There's a process that's happening, and there's mystery in that process. And when you can approach this moment from that space of mysteriousness, you can say, well, what is this? Be curious and observe. So if anybody wants to pick a number between 1 and 81 and chat a little bit about the Tao, I'd love to have you. Otherwise, I will step away. This is number 27. This was number 27. Although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, creations are arrived at through intuition. Although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time every time. By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all you do. It is the great secret. It's a great secret. Imagine not being a victim to anything in your life. Everything that happens is imbued with light and is an opportunity for you to grow and understand who you are a little bit more. Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. If you benefit from the work I do, definitely you can send me a tip through my Linktree, or you can send me a tip through Venmo at @MartinJohn_Garcia. You can get a link to my Linktree here on Wisdom on my profile. If you're interested, follow me. You can reach out to me here with questions, or if I'm following you, you can send me a message. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram, and I'd be happy to address anything that you have questions about. Of course, I did write this version of the Tao, and I don't know if I would be considering myself a Tao scholar, but I'm pretty good at it. So if you do have any questions about the Tao, or you have a number that you'd like to ask for, I'd love to either have you up or have you contact me via Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Martin John, the Recovery Mentor, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.